before we get started into all this, specifically what we're doing over in the college I'm working at, just want to give you a brief introduction of who I am and kind of give you guys a little bit of where I've been, and some of it you guys might be interested in because I've actually played over here. I was playing German football for 3 years for Coach Ross here, who's over here at Stuttgart too. So first of all, I played football in the States. Played college football there at Augsburg College. It was a Division III school. Played high school and then played there. And then after that, was able to come over here. Played for the Landsberg Express when they're the Division I Bundesliga team for 2 years in '99 and 2000. Is that correct? Yep. And then came over here and played for the Scorpions for 1 year in 2001. I was a defensive back playing, and then when I came here for Stuttgart, played a little bit of offense too. And we went to the hot finale against Hamburg in 2001. So that was kind of fun. So I kind of have an idea of what you guys are doing, in terms of the German Football League and the things that you guys are doing. So a little bit of a connection there. So I'm pleased to be back here in Stuttgart. This is the first time I've been back for 17 years. So I'm already in my mid-40s, so it's been a while. But glad to be back and having a chance to speak to you guys today. Bear with it, obviously I don't speak German, guys, so I'll do my best to try to speak a little slower so you guys can hear. I know most of the time you guys are doing football out in English anyways. So again, if I'm going too fast and you guys really see something you need clarified, just interrupt me, wave your hand, do whatever, stand up, just do something to catch my attention so that way I'm not just breezing through here, because I know there is a little from the language standpoint. So really glad to be here and having a chance to do this today. First of all, before we get started, I just want you guys to know kind of where I'm coming from, especially when we're talking about clinic-wise. Really in football, to me, it really doesn't matter where you got everybody lined up. In terms of, do you like to run a 3-man front? Do you like to run a 4-man front? Do you like to have 5 down linemen? Do you like to play zone? Do you like to play man? Whatever the case may be. Whatever you guys are doing, scheme-wise, may not match what I'm going to show you guys here, but the one thing you will be able to take away is that it's all about teaching your kids what they're seeing and where you want them to go, and teaching your players where they want to go, period. Okay? No matter how you line up. There is no best way to line up. Okay? There really isn't. Whether it's a 3 or 4, whatever, there's no best way to line up. It's just you got to make sure your players understand where you want them to go, what they're seeing, and so on and so forth. So what we teach, and we've been doing this for years, and again, I don't know how many different defenses that you run, Coach, but all different kinds, but based on what your players can do, okay? Again, I'm going to show you a lot of 4-man front clips that we've run a lot over the last few years at Southwestern University, okay? Because we've had 4 defensive linemen that we've liked, and even more so that we think we can play a 4-man front. And we think we have 3 linebackers that we like to play with, and then 4 defensive back, and so on and so forth. But in your system, you may not have a whole bunch of defensive linemen. So what's the best case scenario? Maybe playing a 3-man front, correct? If you don't have 10 bodies that you can rotate in and out, maybe a 3-man front's a better situation for you guys, and vice versa. And again, you may have defensive backs that you say can't play man-to-man defense. Now, we play a ton of man-to-man defense at Southwestern. Just a whole bunch. Now, why? Because we had guys that can't. We had 2 All-American cornerbacks that have been playing for 4 years and started 40 games for us, and they can cover just about anybody that's out there. So a lot of the clips you're going to see, and when we go through stuff, is you're going to see us playing man-to-man defense. That may or may not translate to what your players can do. Understood? From that standpoint. And we'll also show you some zone stuff too, so it's not just exclusive man-to-man. Okay? So again, as we're going through that, remember, whatever you can take away, find something, find a little bit of this or that, just to say, I think this kid can do this, or I think we can execute that based on what the players are. Because in reality, it's like we've always said, you go into spring practice, we have spring practice, and then we get to the fall, and you're, as a coach, I get it, you're putting together your playbook saying, God, I'd like to run this, I'd like to run that, and 2 weeks into camp, what ends up happening? That guy can't do that. Or that guy can't do that. And so then you kind of start all over and start figuring out what you can really, really do. Okay? So again, understand that, because what looks great on paper, I think we're all in agreement, right? We write the stuff on the board, oh, this looks great, it's going to work. This is how they're going to line up. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, that guy was better than that guy on that play. So then you get to the point where what looks great on paper didn't quite look out great on the football field in between the lines. So anyhow, so again, at Southwestern, just to give you guys a quick idea, at Southwestern University, I'm the defensive coordinator there. I also work, Southwestern is located in Texas, in Georgetown, Texas, which is just outside of Austin. Division III NCAA football team. Okay, we've been doing this now for 5 years. The program started up in 2013. It was kind of a new program. Well, kind of new, it was new. It played football. The university played football back in the 50s, but then stopped playing football, and then we restarted the football program back in for 63 years or 62 years. They didn't have football. So in 2013, we started to play football again. Coach Ross called me up and said, "Hey, you know, Coach Austin and I are going down there. Do you want to come join us?" And again, I was up in Minnesota at the time, coaching football in Minnesota, and I got a wife and 2 daughters, you know, young daughters. And if you guys know anything about Minnesota, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Minnesota here. You guys think it's cold out here right now. You go to Minnesota this time of year, and it's freezing, okay? And so, had a chance to say, hey, let's go down to Texas. You guys been to Texas right now, 75 and sunny in Texas. So then I asked my wife, and it was a lot easier having that conversation, saying, hey, do you want to move to Texas versus moving somewhere else? So we actually moved down 5 years ago, and I had a chance to start coaching with these guys again, which I had been back in the early 2000s. So down there, building the program, right? So getting things going. Again, going back to what I said earlier, trying to figure out what our guys can do. At the first time we got there, every single guy was a freshman. You guys understand college football, right? You start as a freshman, you end as a senior. Well, if you think about playing a full college schedule, right, with nothing but first-year guys, right? Think about it. We played with 90 first-year players. How many games do you think we won? 0. Okay? You can't play against seniors, you know, guys that have been playing 3, 4, 5 years and come in with that. That being said, fast forward 4 years later, ended up going undefeated in our conference, won the conference championship, okay? By building the program, understanding what your players can do, and so that's kind of where we're at. Last year, we actually transitioned into, not necessarily what you guys kind of do as you move up divisions, right? Division 2 up to Division 1. We kind of did that. It's still the same division, but we now moved into a tougher conference, okay? So instead of playing in the conference that was probably the 15th or 16th best in the country, now it's number 1 or number 2 based on who you talk to. So now we're playing against the best teams, and we've transitioned into there. We were 6-3 in the conference and finished 3rd, tied for 3rd in the conference out of 10 teams. So feeling pretty good about where we're going, okay? And we've been able to do that doing these kind of things. Okay, so that's probably enough backstory. You guys okay? Should we move on to some football stuff? All right, so enough of the backstory. So we're the Southwestern Pirates, okay? So when we come to camp every year, okay, I give them kind of what you want to talk about philosophy. Not a big philosophy guy here. Basically, we get out on the field, we practice, we figure out how to tackle somebody, figure out how to cover somebody, how do we stop them from getting in the end zone, right? That's what football's all about. But in terms of where I come from and where our coaching staff comes from, in terms of teaching guys what to do, and I'll just go through these things, okay? See only what you need to see. What I mean is that each position player has a job to do, okay? And keep sole focus on that job and your assignment, okay? I'm not a big picture guy in the sense that I think that the defensive tackle needs to know what the defensive back is doing. It doesn't hurt them to know it, right? But it's not something that they have to do in order to execute their job, okay? Same thing. There may be 1 or 2 guys on the football field, maybe the middle linebacker, maybe one of those guys that kind of needs to know what everybody's doing so you can help them get lined up, get the call and those kind of things. But for the most part, most of the guys, they really only need to know one thing, okay? How do I play defensive tackle? How do I play defensive end, right? Last thing I need to do is come to the sideline, all of a sudden I got the defensive end telling the cornerback he did his wrong technique. First of all, he shouldn't have he shouldn't have even seen what he was doing out there in the first place, okay? And that turns into a situation where sometimes you can get some issues on the sidelines. But again, this is just a general idea to say focus on what you need to do, okay? Focus on that. Don't focus on what everybody else is doing. And that also goes back to the coaches, right? Coaches coach, players play. You guys have heard that, right? So if I'm a player, okay, unless I really, and as a coach, unless I really think you know what's going on and you've proved it over years that you can tell me what's going on in the football field and know what they're doing and something that could possibly help, I want you to focus on the techniques and skills that we are trying to get you to accomplish, okay? And again, it doesn't matter how you line up, but you need to know exactly what you're doing or where you line up, I should say. Okay, again, that just goes back to simplifying things, trying to eliminate mistakes. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, usually the team that makes the least mistakes wins, right? It's really, football is really about a game because of the way it is about the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. Not necessarily about whatever great halftime adjustment you came up with, or whatever great in-game adjustment you came up with. It really comes down to, do you know your system? Do you know where you want to go, where you're supposed to be? And did you do that? At what percentage did you do that? The team that executes at 95% is more than likely going to end up winning. You only made 5% of mistakes throughout the game, you're going to be in pretty good shape. But if you're so worried about doing different things during a game, things aren't going to be very good. Settle down, do what you're supposed to do. Again, and I tell our coaches this too, all the position coaches, you need to be an expert at your position, not anybody else's position. It's pretty much my job to try to look at the overall picture as the coordinator, right? I'm the guy that's got to kind of look at the overall picture, try to get things in place. If the overall picture isn't working, you can come to me and it's my fault. And I tell the players that too. I said, if for some reason, if you come to camp, right, and the other, we line up against a different team, and if you're not giving effort and you're not executing, then that's your fault. Because you're not executing what we're trying to get you to teach, and you're not giving the effort that you're supposed to. If all of a sudden we go play a team, and no matter what we do, we can't block them, and we can't tackle them, and they're way better than us, then that's my fault. Because obviously in college, you guys understand, we got to go out and recruit players, correct? So we got to go out and get them to come play for us. And so that's our job in the offseason, to get better players. Because if we don't have good enough players to execute against the team that we're playing, right? Case in point, this year, we played against the defending national champion, and they were really, really good. And I don't know what else we could have done, right? Do you think there was anything else we could have done to possibly beat that team on that given day? It would food poisoning. Yeah, I mean, it would have been really, really tough. And I'm sure you guys have come up to that, right? Maybe their best player misses the bus or something. Because if they all came, no matter what we did, it doesn't matter. Bill Belichick was on the sidelines. We were not beating those guys. Okay. So again, then I tell those guys, hey, now it's my job and our job as a coaching staff to go out and get better players and put you guys in better position. And again, very few times though, at this point, where we're at in our development, our program, that we should have a pretty good chance of competing and playing against most of the teams we play. So again, now, the one you see on there, I said, you on your own island every play. You guys hear about, island, and usually people just think about that in terms of playing man-to-man defense. Now, I come from a defensive back. That's what I played, and that's where where I coach a lot of the defensive backfield. So I just kind of took that and put it to every position. Because in our defense, if I'm the defensive tackle and I'm lined up against that guard, it's my job to beat that guard, just about every play. Now we'll stunt and move a little bit, but for the most part, if I can't line up and put my hand down and I can't beat that defensive tackle, that's my island. My island is between him and the defensive tackle. Same thing with the linebacker. A lot of times it's the guard, right? If I got an inside linebacker and I'm lined up on that guard, wherever that guard goes, I'm probably going. I'm fitting off of him. If he comes out and blocks me, I got to take him on, right? And so I want them guys to think about it that way. It doesn't just have to be, Darrell Revis Island out there and, whoever the best receiver, Julio Jones or something out there covering the guy. It doesn't always have to be that, especially in college in terms of understanding your fit and where you're supposed to be. So again, and just to encapsulate all this, and again, going back to philosophy and how we teach everything, how we coach everything, is keep it simple, do your job, stay focused, and only see what you need to see. Forget about all that other stuff that goes on in the game. What it is that you need to see, make sure you can see it. And really, guys, that's pretty much our philosophy. Our guys got to buy into that. And I think if you guys can take a little bit of that, I think as you're coaching kids, and even position coaches, I don't know how many of you guys in here are position coaches, how many of you guys are coordinators, probably do a little bit of everything correct. When you get to that point, think about that as too. So when I sit down with my D-line coach, I tell them exactly this. Do you understand everything we're trying to do? And try to become an expert at what you're doing. All right? Okay, so now, in terms of exact philosophy and what we're trying to do in terms of how we're trying to execute everything, this is really what our defense is set up to do, okay? And this, what I feel, gives us the best chance, okay? First of all, we got to try to create negative plays, okay? We got to try to create a negative play on first down. Let's get them in second and long situations. Okay? What's the best way you can do that? Within whatever scheme you're doing, how do you create a negative play? Okay? Now the first thing you see up there is stop the run. We will not sacrifice anything we do, okay, in order to stop the run and when they come out, especially in first and second downs. I'm not talking about third down here. I'm talking about the down that matters first, which is first down. Got to find a way to stop the run. If that means throwing 8 guys in the box and leaving guys up in man coverage, that's one thing. Okay? If that means, you know, playing a zone defense and bringing your safeties down. Whatever you need to do, figure out a way how to fit and stop the run. If you're thinking about stopping all this fancy perimeter passes plays before you decide how to stop the run, unless you're playing a run and shoot team or you know, an air raid team that throws the ball every play, you better figure out how to stop the run game before you do anything else. That's the number one thing. Okay, try to pressure the quarterback. Again, figure out a way. If they want to come out, if they are an air raid team and they're throwing the ball over the place, how do you pressure the quarterback again to get them in a negative situation? Okay, offenses don't like to be in 2nd and 12. I mean, most don't. Okay? Get him in that situation. And it may not be the very first play of the series. It may take 5 plays, but finally you get him in that negative situation. Now you've got a chance to run the stuff that you want to run on defense and dictate what they're doing. So figure that out. Now I put soft press, which is stay on top. Again, we're a man-to-man team. So again, you can still do the same thing in zone. In zone, you can still keep everybody in front of you, but you want to figure out, when we press man-to-man, it's not, I'm going to jam you right in, like I'm nose-to-nose on the line of scrimmage, and I'm jamming you here. I'm working my way, staying on top of the defense. We're usually in press coverage. Again, had really good guys that could do that, but you can also play off man, and you'll see some clips of that to try to keep things in front of us. If the team wants to throw the ball out in first and second down, have them throw the ball short and then come up and tackle it, okay? And get them doing that. I don't know how many teams you guys play that a team can basically take the ball on the 20-yard line and execute 10 pass plays to get to the end zone. I don't know. Okay, we don't face too many teams that can do that. We just don't. You know, we can face good running teams. Like our offense, had a 17-play drive this year against one of the best teams in the country. Ran the ball every time, or threw it once? Remember? Yeah, I don't think he threw it, right? So you can see teams that can get 3, 4, 5, 10 yards down the field running the ball, right? I don't see that much in passing the ball. No matter, even if you're playing all these spread teams, I don't see them being able to pitch and chuck it all the way down the field. So again, stay on top. We always work on defending the inside of the field. Okay, again, back to our philosophy. Do not let them pound the ball at you. Don't let them make the easy throws. Easiest throw in football, guys. Quarterback steps up here and looks at his slot receiver and says, go stand out there, and I'm going to throw the ball at you, and then you're going to go run around. Or I'm going to stand back here, going to throw a curl route for 10 yards. Easiest throw. Sits back, 1, 2, 3, or quick, throwing it right there. It's just pitch and catch. Make them throw the ball the furthest. Okay? Defend the inside of the field. Those are A and B gap runs. We all know what A and B gap runs are, right? Power plays, inside zone plays, plays they like to get up in the middle. Get the ball to the outside. Again, in our defense. Stop all inside routes. I talked about that. And then, of course, defend deep to short. Don't let the ball go over your head. Okay? Don't let the ball go over your head. So again, we're talking about stopping 75-yard passes. We're talking about hopefully stopping big run plays. If we can keep everything in front of us. Okay? Get off the field on third down. Okay? 2 years ago, I think we were top 10 in the country in third down defense. Why were we top 10 in the country in third down defense? Number one, we created unbelievable negative plays. We are number 4 in the country in sacks, number 8 in the country in tackles for loss. You guys understand what that means, right? That, you know, there's 250 teams at our division. Okay, so being in the top 10 out of 250, okay, you're going to be pretty good on defense. If you can create negative plays, get them in long yardage situations, and then figure out how to get off the field on third down. We didn't have to bring any pressure. We had 4 guys, 2 defensive ends that had 26 sacks between them. 1 kid was an All-American. We could get a 4-man even pressure. What I mean by even pressure is we're keeping the quarterback in the pocket and making him beat us from in there. Okay? And then we drop into the sticks. On third down, there's times where we become somewhat a completely different team. Okay? A lot of times in first and second down, we're stacking the box, we're being super aggressive, we're making sure we create that negative play, and then all of a sudden on third down, you'll see us play a little bit more passively. What I mean by passively meaning is we're letting our 4 guys up front get to the football, and we're dropping our underneath coverage, 5, 4, 6 underneath players, depending on how we want to play it, and we're dropping to the sticks. So if it's 3rd and 12, I want all my underneath defenders 12 yards deep. Making them throw over the top of us on a first down and making them throw it short, and then we rally and tackle. Okay? That's all provided, though, that we can get that 4-man pressure. And then, when we're talking about playing the quarterback and that type of defense, our eyes are always on the quarterback looking to get to the football, not running around matching routes. Now, again, if you can't get that 4-man pressure and you're giving that quarterback all day long to throw, now you might have to bring some pressure and then now match up coverage a little bit, whether it be a zone or a man-to-man match team, which we did a little bit more this year because we just didn't have the 2 guys on the edge that could basically get to the quarterback at any time they want. So again, guys, this is what we try to do. All starts with creating a negative play. How do you do that? Stopping the run, defending the inside of the field, making sure there's no big pass plays, and then somehow get yourself in third down situations. Okay? One thing I would caution everybody at, and Coach Ross and I have had a lot of debates over this, is like not trying to defend everything. Okay? Unless you're the best defense in your division, best defense in your league, try not to defend everything. Okay? Figure out what you're good at, and then figure out a way to get off the field on third down. What can you do on first and second down to get them in a 3rd and long situation? Okay? Put offenses in situations where it's 3rd and 8 or more, 3rd and 7 or more. Now you can do some things. But if you're constantly in a first down situation because you're trying to defend everything on first down, or all of a sudden it's 2nd and 1, you're not going to put yourself in very good positions. And again, there's times, I think it was a game this year, 5th game of the year, we're playing a team that throws the ball 80 times a game, and all of a sudden I'm sitting and trying to figure out how to stop every pass play they have. Looking back at it, not the best way to go about it. Okay? And we ended up winning the game because our offense scored 60. But again, you got to figure out something you guys do well, and then figure out what that is, and get them at some point in the 3rd down situation. Any questions on that? Any disagreements? Anybody want to debate about it? No? Okay. Sure? All right. There's nothing wrong with that either. Okay, I'm just going to go through this real quick in terms of giving you guys an idea of something I would suggest you guys do in practice. Okay, again, yeah, obviously I know all you guys have different practice structures. Sometimes you get the guys for 2 days, right? Sometimes you get them for 3, whatever the case may be. Now you guys know in America we get the college kids 6 days a week. Be nice, right? Have them in the building 6 days a week, right? We work with them. We only have to give them 1 day off. So basically 5 practice days we get. Get them for about 2 hours, get them about 10 hours a day to get ready for a game on Saturday. So, I mean, that's nice. Okay, I've been over here where you may get 2 days a week. You may not get everybody at practice. I get it. So you got to figure it out again. But whatever you do, okay, no matter what you're doing, is make sure that however long you have them, do the things that you're going to do 90% of the time in a game, and do it every single day. And that may be 1 drill, that may be 2 drills, that may be 3 drills. But whatever it is, make sure you're doing it every single day. When I'm coaching the linebackers, and we're a guard key team for the most part, or we make key the tailbacks, there's not a day that goes by that we're not running that drill. Maybe a Friday and a walkthrough. I mean, Coach Ross does his offensive line drill even on Friday. Okay? And we're a really good offensive line team because we're doing that drill every single day. So make sure you do that. If you're coming in thinking, what's a great drill to do that I saw on YouTube or something, okay? If you got time to do that, great. But make sure the drill that you do that's going to get your guys in the position the most, you do it every single day. And so this is kind of the idea of kind of figuring out how we do it. And this is more for, again, guys up front, guys. This is more for the linemen, the linebackers. Make sure your technique drill, simple technique drill, we get ourselves aligned we get up in ourselves in our stance. And again, you guys are going to have different alignments, different stances for basis positions, but make sure you do it. And then again, I go back to what I said, see only what you need to see. Eye focus and first step. Where's your eyes? How are you lined up? What do you need to key? And then how are you reacting to that key every time? Okay? How are you doing? As a linebacker, it's stepping to your key downhill every time. How many times are you going to do that? And again, it may seem trivial, and your guys may get bored with it, but then when I show some film, and that guy's not doing that, and they may be a half a step slow, and they didn't make the play, you could say, well, maybe you didn't take your technique drills serious enough that week. It all comes down to that. You probably didn't take it serious enough. You're probably, or you missed it, or you didn't do it. So that's part of it. And a key read drill, just told you about that. Your key and your read. You got to have a pre-snap key, right guys? Especially the front 7, even the back 11, based on what coverage you're in. What's your pre-snap key? How you getting lined up first? Then where's your eyes going? And then where's your key? If I come to the sideline and the guy said, and I ask the guy, especially for a linebacker, for instance, and he's sitting there and he's like, he says, well, coach, what happened on this play? And I'm like, I'll ask him right away. Where'd your guard go? Where did your tailback go? Where was his first step? And if he looks at me and he has a trouble answering it, well, there's the problem. Your eyes weren't focused where they were supposed to be when the ball was snapped. Okay? If my eyes aren't where I'm supposed to go, if I'm supposed to move when you move, and I don't do that, I'm already a step slow. So again, make sure you're doing that. Okay? Make sure you're doing a key drill, whether it's a defensive tackle, reading the guard, or however you play, defensive end, reading the end man on the line of scrimmage. If you're keying the quarterback in the secondary, if he's giving you a run key, where did your safeties go? All those kind of things. Whatever that key is, they got to do it every day. Okay? Now the combo stuff is just giving you guys a look. Once you get those two things done, now how are you running your combo drills? Before you get to inside run, right? I'm sure everybody in here does an inside hole, inside run, right? Before you get to all those guys inside, has that defensive tackle stepped up in here and have a guard here, a center here, a guard here, and a tackle there, right? And he's reading on that. So he's got this, that guy goes here, which way is he moving? He should be able to have that combo drill done, okay, before he gets in where everybody else gets in there. And that goes back to what I showed you guys in the first thing, okay? They need to see what they need to see and concentrate only on what they need to do, okay? And again, now a lot of this stuff can be combined into one drill, of course, especially the top two. Once you get done with the technique stuff, you can do a key and a technique drill together because they got to run the same thing. And so as you get less practice time preparing for a game, in college we get a lot of practice time early, for fall camp. You guys go to camp and all those kind of things. You got a lot of time then. So maybe you got 45 minutes to do 3 different things. But all of a sudden you get in the season, maybe you only have 15 minutes. So when you do that, if you got the technique and the key drill together, right? I'm stepping, I'm seeing what I need to do, I'll be able to get that drill done each and every day. And then when you get to the combo drill, now that's when you can work on a little bit about what you're going to see that week. Okay, are you playing a trap team, you're playing a pull team, you're playing a zone team, correct? Depending on what kind of action you're going to get up front. Now you can really concentrate on that specific action or that specific alignment. Again, I'm sure you guys have seen sometimes you play a team that's got really tight splits on the offensive line. Here, here, here. So how am I going to line up to that differently from what I am if a team's going to have really wide splits, right? And so those are those things that you can use in your combo drill each week. It may change a little bit. But I tell our guys, every single position coach, D-line, D-end, D-tackle, linebacker coach, whatever, you got to get this done. So when we start practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, this all has to be done. Come Thursday, it may be just 5 minutes, real quick refresher on the key and the step drill or read drill because we got to get into other stuff and now we're into game prep mode and we're really cutting our practices short. Okay? But don't skip it. Okay? A good position coach, guys, is going to cry for more individual time, especially early in the season. You guys break up your practices, ND and then group time? You guys understand what I'm saying, right? So if you're really into it and you want to be a really good position coach and you want to get your guys ready, you should be saying, hey coach, I need more ND time. My guys aren't doing this drill. Okay, we're not doing this correctly. Okay, and again, that's how we do it. We spend more time in individual time during the beginning of the season than we do at any time. Got to get this down. Until we get this down, we're not doing anything else. I'm not going to show you how to run 8 different stunts if we can't figure out how to step the way we're supposed to step. I don't care. There's no point in twisting our front if we can't play our base defense. It's not going to work. That's my philosophy. Okay? My philosophy is to get the stuff done that you're supposed to get done, and then we're good. This I'll just go through here real quick, guys. defensive line wise, this is kind of the key points that we look for at defensive line skills. What can we do? Our stance, our aiming points, our eye focus, I talked about that. Defensive line for us is number one is how do you figure out how to engage? How do you engage a player up front? You got to win the battle of engagement before you even think about disengaging. Again, guys, this goes in order. Okay? It goes in order. This stuff has to be done. Before, if we can't learn how to engage right, I'm not going to teach them to move to disengage. Because you lost the battle of engagement, you're trying to get off a guy and you're not even in the right position. We don't need to be working to get off a player if we're not in the right position to begin with. So we start here, and again with defensive line, all about hands, disengage. We are a rip team, dip and rip, low man wins, right? Leverage, body position, low man wins to us. So I want to get low and I want to dip and I want to rip. Or then again, we can push and then we can pull off depending on what we're doing. But the number one thing is dip and rip, stay low, get yourself off the football. Leverage, that's all about body position, where's the ball at, all those different kind of good things in leverage drills. Then we'll get to the pass rush. Again, guys, pass rush, we talk about that as we go. We're pretty much a speed pass rush team because of our personnel and a bull rush. You can see on there, there's no spin and no swim. Okay? Spin and swim and all this other stuff. We got a really, really good player that can do some of that stuff. Maybe we'll get to that. But, you know, it takes a really special player to be able to do all that kind of stuff and be a good defense. Then we talk about tackling. You know, obviously, guys, safety's a big thing right now. I assume it is around here too, right? Head injuries, you guys got good concussion protocol over here and all those kind of things. So we talk about getting the head out of the tackle. I don't know if you guys have ever watched the Seattle Seahawks video. You guys watched the tackling video from the Seahawks? That's how we tackle. Okay, that's what we do. That's why I put the hawk tackle on there. I would advise you guys to do that. Really, really good. Keeps the head out of the game. We've had very little concussions on defense over the last few years, knock on wood, right? But we've had very few. So that's how we tackle. And again, that's for everybody. And then agility. Okay, agility work and so on and so forth. Now, the one thing I want you guys to see that's on the bottom is scheme. Why is it on the bottom? Because to me, the scheme should be simple enough that the defensive line should not have to think much about playing scheme. They should have a few things to do. Can you beat the guy in front of you? Can you take care of your gap? If you're an A-gap player, okay, however you do it, if you're an A-gap player, for us, our defensive tackles are A-gap players 90% of the time. Our defensive ends are C-gap players or B-gap players. We squeezed our front a little bit more this year. Okay, that's about it. Okay, few twists, few stunts here and there, but scheme should be, they shouldn't have to worry much about scheme. Get it simplified, get their hand on the ground, stand them up, however you do it, and get them to play fast. Okay, you got to teach them how to do all this stuff no matter how you line up. Whether you're in a wide 7 or wide 9 or whatever people call it nowadays, right? You're in a 5 technique, you're in here, you're in that, 2-eye, 3-eye, 4-eye, whatever you want to call it. You know, teach them how to play defense. Okay, before you're worried about where they're lined up in terms of how you want to scheme it. Okay, and again, guys, this is just defensive ends, specific to defensive ends. If you guys want to take a picture or look at this, or I can send it to you too. Again, just breaks it down just from each. And again, this is as much for our coaches as anything. I want to make sure they're doing this specifically to what we do. Again, there's our defensive tackles. What do they need to do? And again, guys, one thing I'll stop here real quick on the defensive tackle here is, again, if you're doing your key drill, okay, in this case, most of the time our defensive tackles are key in the guard. I missed a parenthesis there. But you got, basically, again, to break it down, guys, to be an expert at your position, that defensive tackle, when he lines up over the guard, these are the things that he needs to know how to do. Okay, I'm key in the guard. If he inside releases, where do my hands go? Where do I go? If he outside releases, where do I go? If he base blocks me, where's my body position? If he pulls, or if it's a pass set. Again, this is what matters. Can they react to those things? Okay? Can they do that? And teach them how to do that, and then I got the combos and the stunts. Again, I want to go back to it. Look at the order it's in. What's their technique? What's their key? What's their combo? And the last but not least, right, is the stunts. We spend less times on stunts than anything we do. So if you're looking for a twisting, crazy stunt front, bringing guys from 85 positions, I'm probably not the right guy to talk to. I'll tell you that right now. That's not what we're going to be doing. Okay? So that's DTs. Okay, same thing for linebackers, just to go real quick. Pretty much the same thing, guys. A couple different things here is pass drops, cover 0, 1, 2, and 3. We played a little bit more cover 4 this year. Don't play a lot of cover 3. Play a lot of cover 0, a lot of cover 1, and cover 2. Breaks, we talked about that. Tackle, agility, again, scheme at the end. Again, same kind of thing. What are we doing? Again, engage and disengage. I'll go through some of this on film, whether we're spilling balls, containing it, two-gapping things. Here's right back to this again, guys, and just knowing what we're doing. Now, I got the Sam and the Will on here. Most of what you see for us will have a Sam and Will linebacker. Those are what we consider our linebackers. They can be inside or outside. And then we got a monster position that I'll talk a little bit as we go. Safety skills, same kind of thing. Understand what we're doing, what defense we're doing in those cases. Nothing different here except for now as a safety you got to work on some man techniques, obviously getting back into the passing game and those kind of things. But again, as you see this, guys, when we're talking about disengaging, we teach this with every position. It's not just the defensive line. I mean, we're going to dip and rip, low man wins no matter where we're at. Okay, if I got my safeties, the safeties are down in the box and they got a lead blocker, they're going to do the same thing. Okay, obviously, depending on how big this guy is, based on what you're doing, you may have different leverage. But again, we're still teaching the same thing all the way through. So I mean, as a defensive coordinator, I could literally run a drill, separate everybody out, and we could do an engage or disengage drill with every single player on our team, because we're going to teach them the same thing. Okay, every day. Again, EDDs, guys, stands for every day. Okay, again, don't skip your everyday drills. This is what we do, and I'll talk a little bit about our scheme, but we play with two safeties. One's a monster, one's a chester. And again, when you see this, monster basically is our free safety, and our chester is our strong safety. So you guys play with free and weak or whatever. Basically, the monsters are free because he's a hybrid player. Our chester is our strong. The same kind of thing. Here's the drills that we need to do each and every day. Again, with the secondary, again, I don't know how many guys you guys have in terms of position. Our secondary is pretty different. Our safeties are a lot different than our corners. Okay, the techniques that we run are a lot different. So you can split them up. That's great. I've been able to split them up just based on having enough guys. But it's not like you can't run the same drill in different drills as you move along. And then last but not least is the corners. Same kind of thing. What kind of skills do they need to know? And I kind of have this outline in terms of how we do things and so on and so forth. But again, as you can see, most of it's the same stuff. And then again, the cornerbacks, what are you going to do each and every day? Cornerbacks is the one spot in our defense, because we play so much man-to-man, that they don't even need to be in, they don't need a lot of group work with us, because it's a lot of one-on-one out on the perimeter. They're not involved in the run game much in terms of how we've done things over the past few years. Again, if you're using more cover 2 corners and now they become flat and contained players in the run game, you need to use them a little bit more, but we used our guys mainly just as man guys. And then back to it again. Just to have you guys again. I always end with this, and this is my mantra. Coach, in this clinic, they said, hey, what do you guys do for philosophy-wise? Basically, this is it. Understand what you're supposed to do, and concentrate on that, and do it over and over and over, okay? And again, you get to the point where, I don't know about you guys, but during the week isn't the best part of football, okay? The practice part isn't the funnest part of football for most of the guys, but there's no game that isn't more fun than on Saturday afternoon or whenever you guys are playing your games. You put all that time in during the week, watch that film, do all that practice. All of a sudden Saturday comes around, you got to figure out if you pass the test or not. And so we do the same things over and over. Okay, guys? So that's pretty much it in a nutshell when it comes to our philosophy. Any questions on that? Okay, cool. Now, real quick, I'm just going to go through what we do and how we do it. I'll show you a little bit of playbook stuff real quick, and then we'll watch some film here. You guys use Huddle a lot? Okay, cool. Yeah, we do everything on Huddle too. Now we'll see how fast this loads. This hasn't been great recently. But. So if I go to our playbook, and I'm just going to show you our base defense real quick on Huddle. Okay, so this is basically it. This is how we line up and how we do it. Again, we're a 4-man front. I think Coach before me ran about a 3-man front. We got our ends usually on the outside, again, defensive tackles. Now we'll shade them and move those guys around a little bit, not a big deal again. Usually play with 3 technique and then a 2-eye technique here. Again, we could move these guys around if we wanted to, but in this case, we're just leaving it as is. And again, I tell you guys, our tackles are usually A-gap players. Our ends are usually C-gap quarterback players. We got our middle linebacker, our 2 inside guys, Sam and Will, are B-gap players. Okay, and then we got our 2 safeties in here keying these guys. When we're in our man look, guys, again, cover 0. We can be cover 0 or cover 1, but in this case, we're man to man. I got these guys lined up here. I got these guys lined up in press, but you can move these guys around however you want, right? You can put them here, you can put them there. And again, you can change the depth of these guys, put these guys around a little bit however you want to do it, and then you got there. Okay, and again, you can play zone out of this look as much as you want to. But in terms of how we line up, this is what we look like. Our linebackers are anywhere from 5 to about 3 yards deep, usually about 5. But every now and then we may go tight and put them up a little bit tighter too. Just kind of depends on where they're at again. But again, the number one thing, guys, is understanding what gap you're responsible for, okay, and how you're going to move to that gap and so on and so forth. Okay, and that's kind of how we do it. So in our base Spartan defense, and I'm going to get to some clips here real quick, C gap, A gap, A gap, C gap end, B gap linebacker, reading the guards usually, and then these guys are matchup players on the tailback or the H-back. And again, sometimes you won't have this guy, will you? He'll be out here, so then we'll just take him and put him out there, and now look what we're in. And it's very, very easy. He goes in motion, well, that's easy now too because we're man-to-man and he goes. And again, from that standpoint. Now again, you know, if you guys have guys that can play man-to-man, great. If you don't, and you want to play more of a zone concept and move these guys back a little bit, right, that's fine too. And now you can figure out how to play zone. Just remember, if you decide you want to do that, okay, how are you going to stop the run game? For us, if I got to put him in here, okay, and now I'm putting these guys out here, which we'll show a few clips too, if I do all that, I still got to figure out how are my gaps covered up front. How am I going to insert these players and make sure the run game's stuck? Okay, does that mean I got to put him as a B-gap player and make him an edge player? Now we're spilling the ball out to these guys. Whatever the case may be, again, I think offenses have done a decent job nowadays of putting your guys in conflict. Okay, is he a run-first player or is he a pass-first player? Is he a pass-first player, run-first player, whatever? Again, going back to what I told you guys, on 1st and 2nd down, we want to create a negative play. The best way to do that is create a loss of yards in the run game. Because most teams are going to run the ball out on 1st down. I mean, look at all the stats. I don't know why, but teams are going to run the ball on 1st down 75–80% of the time. So figure out how to stop that run game, put them in a 2nd and long situation, so then, you know, so what? If they complete a short pass for you, fine, tackle it and play again. But again, make them move it down. We call this Spartan. You guys know Michigan State at all? Michigan State, a pretty good football team, been really good at defense for a while. That's why it's named Spartan. So let's go ahead and look at some of these plays. You guys want to watch the film here real quick? Okay. Let's see how well this loads up. Hopefully it loads up fast. Okay, let me get this wide up. Okay, so as you can see on the top, you see what play it is, right? Here comes a counter play. Counter play is a pulled situation, and here we are lined up in what we are. Okay, now we're kind of playing with a true middle linebacker here. Didn't have a monster type player, but he's playing the middle position. And then we got the outside backers here playing it, and here we go. And again, guys, you can notice we don't have a safety in there. Okay, we're playing zero coverage. We're stopping the run. It's 1st and 10. And here comes the counter play. Probably have a better look at it. Again, motion real quick. We're just going to run with the motion. We're man-to-man on that guy. We run with him. And here we come with a counter play. And I'll show you here real quick. This is what we look like. Again, we're a little wide here. We're a B-gap player, right? B-gap player. Now this guy right here, again, we're keying the guard. So if the guard goes, he's going to go, and we're going to fit it up. And again, as I told you before, A-gap player, and our ends are wider here, and they're playing C-gap. Watch what happens. Ball comes, here comes the counter. So as you can see, this is their comboing back to him. He's going to eat up that block, but that's okay, because now he's coming across, and we're really hitting this pulling guard hard with the B-gap player here. Now this B-gap player could spill or contain based on our defense. Right now we're containing it. So they miss him actually. He hits it so fast, both their guys miss him. We get a little too far upfield by the end. But watch number 40 come across, and he's able to make that play. But again, he goes across because he sees his guy go. Okay, in this case, they're pulling the guard in the tackle. So once he goes, he's going on the counter play. And there's that window, and he's able to make the play. Nice hawk tackle too, pretty decent play. Okay, so now you see it, same play, but now you guys can see we got more of a safety type, monster type playing now, so we're going to play him back. Now why do we do that? Well, number one, this is a harder play to make. Usually when you put him back there, when they're running their counter play, when they're going to bring him down and block the backside linebacker, that usually gives him a free run. Okay, and we can also drop him back and play cover one if we want. So I prefer him to be more of a versatile safety versus a linebacker. But the gap discipline is still the same, and we're able to get the counter play taken care of. I mean, they're just in there. That ball's nothing's coming up in here. And now watch our linebacker. Again, we're an outside player here, right here. You know, you guys do the spill technique with the defensive end, block down, step down, pull the ball out, and get it outside. We can do that too, okay? In this game, we're containing the ball. So we're in our Spartan defense. That means we're going to contain it. We're going to take him on. He's going to come in here and contain the pull, and then whoever our free player is here should be able to scrape and get to the play, and which they end up doing. You see number 10 is able to fit it. He becomes our Mike backer in terms of our middle backer, but playing from a safety position. He's a run-first free safety. Does that make sense? He's reading hard downhill, and again, usually doesn't get blocked much. 2 years ago, we had one of the best players I've ever coached be able to play that position, and I think you'll see it right here. Okay, here you go. Here's from 2 years ago, and it's the same counter play. This kid right here is going to make the play from depth. If you have a player, okay, again, that is a really, really good football player and can tackle and can run from sideline to sideline, this is a good spot to put him, because you can see him, watch him fit this up and finish and make the play. Again, you know, just a fantastic football player, but again, trying to basically make the ball go to him. He led our team in tackles because we're trying to get the ball to him. I got too many things in here. Let me get rid of these so you guys can see what happens. Again, watch what happens again in terms of eye focus. We got our guards, our tackles taking care of A gap. Watch our play side backer hits it, outside arm free. Like to see him actually be a little bit further outside here. He's kind of caught inside, but again, these two guys are eating up these two blocks, and he's able to make the play. This kid right here is actually a linebacker. 74 doesn't even see him. Watch, 74 is supposed to combo back to the backer here, but he misses him because he gets there so fast on the counter play. Because we're reading that guard, guys. If we're sitting there holding there and not reading them, we're probably coming late. But when we see our guys go, we're just going. You guys can see how hard we are getting downhill. Okay, we see run and we're playing it, and we're telling our guys on the outside to take care of the play. And so those two guys meet at the tackle. Again, this was a good football team we played. You guys get a lot of power read. You get the read play, right? Read play with the power action, and they're going to read our ends or whatever. Here comes the power replay. Now this is a bad thing, and not everything's good, guys, right? I don't want to show you all great plays, because believe me, we're not that good. So here comes the power read play, where they're going to bring the guy in motion, okay, a little fly motion. He comes across, and they're going to read him. Now I'm going to stop it right here, because look at this, okay? We got two guys here, and they got guys going this way, okay? One of these two guys has to go take the quarterback based on the scheme, correct? They got to take it, okay? He's got to go get the quarterback, or he's got to go get the quarterback, either way, okay? And then you got to fit it up behind it in this case scenario. But right now, our end is a quarterback player in Spartan defense. Okay, guys, I told you that. He's a C gap, which means he has to take the quarterback. So on this read play, again, they need to know what they need to be in. So he should be reading that tackle. Again, going back to what we talked about in terms of our stuff, for him, his tackle release is inside. Right away, his eyes should go right to the quarterback. There's nothing else he should think about. He shouldn't care that there's fly motion. I was just in the offensive meeting, and Coach Austin talked about, hey, we like to bring, you know, that guy in motion, so the whole defense runs with the guy in motion. It happens, though. If you watch football, I mean, good teams, bad teams, whatever, that guy goes in motion, you got 10 of these defensive players looking at the guy going in motion. What do you care? We got a guy running with him. And if he goes in motion, he's going with him. We got a guy on him. If he goes there, we're good. So this end should do nothing but look at the quarterback. And he should tackle him. But he doesn't. And you're sitting up in the booth saying, oh my gosh, what the heck? What happened? Guy come on the sideline saying, well, again, I'll ask him right away. What happened? Where'd your tackle go? Number one thing I'll ask him. Okay, guys, because we don't see everything either, right, coaches? We get that, right? We can't see everything all the time, right? So all of a sudden, he goes in motion, and that guy releases inside, and he comes to the sideline, and I'm like, who's got the quarterback? And the defensive end can't tell me where his tackle went. He probably wasn't going to make the play before the play even happened, because he wasn't focused on what he needs to be focused on. So now, he goes inside. That defensive end should go right to the quarterback, and the quarterback's either going to be tackled, or he's going to give it to him, right? So watch what happens. And this is great about read football, option football, because this is what they're trying to do. But watch how many guys we have running out to that guy. Look at these guys. And he would be out here too. We got 2 on 3 now. We got the stretch play covered. We don't have the quarterback covered because the end didn't take it. And then we had a bad angle here too. Because as you see our outside linebacker here, he sees the guard pole, he should be inside out to the quarterback. Because he's now the backside cutback player, which is really the quarterback if he keeps it. So watch him. He overruns the play too. Isn't that crazy? And we give up a touchdown. Now let me tell you something, just for full disclosure. You guys know what that means? Full disclosure. We gave up 350 yards rushing against this team this year. It was our first team we played. I don't know why, but we gave, and the year before that, teams couldn't get a yard on us. We had some personnel changes, no about it. But we gave up 350 yards rushing and ended up losing this game. And again, it was just about stuff like this. Went back to the drawing board, obviously, refocused on things that we were supposed to do, and we ended up giving less than 100 yards rushing for the entire season, the rest of the year. Because of how our defense has worked, if we can't stop teams from running the football, we're going to be in rough shape. And I would say that pretty much goes for 99% of football. You know, you got to figure out how to stop teams from rushing. Okay, here's a power play out of our defense, and you'll see the same kind of thing here. This is a pull play. I'll get to some zone plays. I'll show one more power play. Here comes the power. See that guard pull? And again, here comes our back. This is our monster now. He's playing it. Nobody blocks him. He's right there in the hole to make the play. Okay? In the zero coverage. And this play, you got 11 personnel. You guys run a lot of 10, 11. You know, you guys understand what I mean by 10 and 11, right? You guys get a lot of H-back stuff, or mainly just 4 wide? A little bit of both? Yeah. Okay. So again, what we do is, when the H-back goes in the game, what the offense is telling you is we want to get an extra blocker basically in there. So they're going to create an extra gap. You know, we talked about being A gap, B gap, C gap, so you're being gap sound. When they stick him in the game, what that means is they're just inserting an extra gap. So no matter what you're doing defensively, okay, for us, we pretty much bring our safety, our Chester in the game and say you become the extra guy in the gap. So now they can't outnumber us, okay, because it's a numbers game. Now if you're good enough up front, okay, and we played a defense this year where, I mean, they could have probably stopped the run with 4 guys, okay, because of how good they were. Then you can put 2 safeties way back here and say, go ahead, you can't run on us anyways because you can't block anybody up here. But we weren't that good to be able to put up against the offensive lines that we saw. So we would have to bring that extra guy in the box. Regardless if you're playing man or you're playing zone, we had to bring the extra guy in there. And he was able to help out and scrape that up there as well. And again, we're in pretty good shape there in the cover 1. So let's watch a couple zone stuff. You guys get more power schemes, more gap schemes, or do you get more zone schemes? Depends. Okay. I know zone was a big vogue thing for a while, right? We saw every team, you know, was running zone and all the, you know, the read option stuff. And again, sometimes you get teams that run both. Our offense obviously is geared more towards being aggressive and being more power, and here's more of a zone. So again, guys, we're just gap conscious, making sure we know what we're doing. Here we're playing cover 1, so we're actually, that's white, so we're actually bringing the safety out of the game. So now we're playing true cover man free. And now you're getting a zone look. Here it comes, just basically a big on big dive play really is what all this is. They're double teaming here, and again, they leave the backer here, and we're able to scrape and make the play. And then again, about leverage is a good thing about leverage. We want to be lower than that guy. And again, this is a perfect, from a tackle standpoint, guys, right? This is kind of a compression tackle. We go near shoulder, near thigh. Okay, when you're tackling, we're near shoulder, near thigh. So we want to hit here, and then we want to wrap and then roll when we tackle. Okay, You can push your head across, which is fine. If you want to go head across tackling, just make sure that when they do that, they're still leading with their shoulder and getting their head out of the game. That's just a simple dive play. Here's another inside zone play. And just in terms of background, you guys can see how we're matched up. We're in press man. Now he's off a little bit, and then now he's playing back here. Again, when you see him here, especially, sometimes it depends on how good this guy is. You can play like a true free safety, and he can be way back here and come late. But we got him at about 8 yards, 7 to 8 yards, typically. It's probably a little too tight here. But again, he becomes our free tackler. See that? Most blocking schemes, they don't have, most guys, when they're drawing up a zone play, they don't really have somebody, responsible for him. Okay, what we'll get a lot is we'll get people trying to crack him, right? Bring the safety down and hit him here, and then we got to work ways to either replace that or change up our gap scheme a little bit. But that becomes your guy in terms of tackling. Again, here we are near shy, near shoulder, trying to get nice and low and cutting them down right there on the zone scheme. Let's look at one zone read. So they're actually going to pull it here, I think. Now you get the quarterback to pull it now. Now this is the same guy you guys saw on the counter clip who didn't take the quarterback. Okay, so let's see what he does here now in the zone scheme. Here it comes. Again, he's responsible for the quarterback. We got guys for the dive. Right here and right here. He would take the inside dive. He would take the quarterback. Now we're in good shape because his eye focus is on the quarterback. Now the quarterback doesn't have anywhere to go. Now he doesn't make the play necessarily, but he makes sure that he doesn't get to the outside. And then he's a quarterback player too on the backside. Now we're in pretty good shape on the read play. There's a bunch of different ways, guys, to play the zone read. You guys just got to decide what's best for you. Basically, it's just option football, correct? Just make sure you got a guy. And one thing that I didn't show on there is, you got your inside period, right? Your inside run period. Another good thing for you guys to do is to make sure that you understand what you're doing on option football. You guys might not play a lot of option teams, okay? But if you have your option components down, you usually can defend just about any run play anybody wants to come up with. If you got it down, okay? You understand who's got who's got what gap. If you keep your defense simple and not try moving guys 85 different ways, guys are going to be able to understand what their job is and what their responsibility is. That's the biggest thing. And again, that's on the zone read play. Speed option, you guys get a lot of speed option at all? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, we run it a ton on offense. We didn't see a lot of speed option this year. This is 2 years ago. But again, here comes the speed option play in our defense. And here we go. This is going to be a little bit different, guys, just because we were double keying. Now, typically, this guy's a B-gap player, and he's got our let me go from the tight copy here. Typically, our outside linebacker is a B-gap player. So again, he would be off here, and he'd be down in the B-gap, okay? And then and then he would be a pitch player, quarterback to pitch sometimes. Now, against these guys, we made him the tailback player, okay? So even though he was reading the tailback, so he was playing B-gap to the tailback, but if he went on option, he would go with them, and then number one would just scrape and be quarterback to pitch. And then, of course, the end would be the quarterback player unless they blocked them for some reason. What? We did. But I'll tell you, we don't stunt a lot, but in this case, we stunted them. But again, the big key here, so if we stunt, I'm working him now, right? Now he would scrape off and be the quarterback player, and he does a good job of beating the reach block. Don't get reached here because he's stunting. So he gets out wide, and now the ball's pitched. And 33, because we're double keying the back, because this was a speed option team, he's able to scrape off, and then number one would be quarterback to pitch too if we didn't get the ball pitched out. Again, the biggest thing here is, so again, let's go back to what I was talking about in terms of your combo drills and each week how things may change a little bit. In this case, because we knew we were playing a speed option team, when I got into the linebacker drill, what were we doing? When we got speed option, and I'm coaching 33 here, and I say you got the tailback. So I'm here and I'm playing quarterback a lot of times, and that tailback goes and I'm pitching 33. Before I even line up and doing everything, I'm looking at him and seeing what he's keying, okay? I'm saying, hey, I got the tailback on the tailback key. So if I got the tailback, if I'm number 9 playing quarterback here as a coach, and I see that 23 flare, I can really look at him. And I can teach him and see which way, what's he looking at, where's he going. I can see what step is he making, is his eyes in the right place. So again, typically his eyes would be on the guard, right? So if we're running inside zone play and this guy runs this way, I can see that too. But in this case, we had him on the tailback, so I can see him. So no matter what you're keying, whether you're keying the tailback or keying the guard, make sure before you even set up your drill that that's where his eyes are. And that's where it all starts. And so now you can see his eyes go, and number 1's the same way. You see where number 1's eyes are? Number 1's eyes on the quarterback. We're basically playing man-to-man defense, cover 0 with the quarterback technique. So now he's just reading that quarterback, and now he's going to the tailback, and now we're off to it. And getting really, really hard downhill. 33 overruns the play a little bit. I like to keep him a little bit more inside-out angle, but he does have to contain the play back to everybody else, and is able to make the play for a loss on that one. Here's more of a stretch look, guys. A little outside zone. Stretch look against a good football team. And go. This is good. This is a good play defensive end wise. Again, guys, we're keying the man in front of us. Same kind of thing here. So, oops, went too far. So now this pretty wide here. Again, sometimes we play wide. We're kind of in a tilt look here to try to squeeze it, but it is 3rd and 10. But here he comes. He's still reading that tackle. He's a contained player. That tackle comes out. He needs to get upfield, make sure that ball goes up inside. So that's a good play by the defensive end. Again, and then now we're scraping. He's a B-gap player, right? So now he's scraping to the B-gap. He gets across the face, and we're able to make the play right there because they can't get to the second level on us and cut us off into that B-gap. Really, really important because, guys, we don't have our extra player here because now we're playing cover 1. So now he's playing pass first because it's 3rd and 10, right? So now if he had to come late, hopefully we can tackle it before the down and distance. But in this case, we're playing hard man-to-man defense from that standpoint. So guys, that's our base Spartan defense where we're playing B-gap really hard with the linebackers and playing C-gap with the ends. Now I'm going to show you some pirate defense. Well, let me show you on the playbook first real quick. If I show you on the playbook just to see it on paper, again, I say this all the time, you don't play defense on paper, but you got to draw stuff up so you make it look like you're smart. And you can get something drawn up and it looks great when you look at it. If it'll load fast enough. I should have 2 windows open, but the internet's not working great. Okay, so now when we go pirate, guys, very simple change for us. Okay? Okay, now all that means now is I got them highlighted here in red and green. You guys can see that all right? So now what's end up happening is the end now is going to squeeze and be a B gap. That's all it is, simple gap exchange. And now the Sam and the Will, okay, will become C gap players. So that's all that is. We're scraping them. We do this a lot too, guys. If we're playing, if we decide we want to play zone, we'll do this because now we'll bring him out there, right? And now if we're playing a 2-high zone, I can just delete that real quick. And let's say we're doing this, and you get something like this. Now we're playing more a 2-high shell safety, right? And so defense, so now we got these guys squeezing and then those guys out there. Because we're going to leverage, obviously, if we do this and we bring these guys down, if you don't put somebody out there on the slot, they're just going to throw it and run for 5 yards, right? So now we'll bring him out and bring him there. We don't do a lot of this and then bailing out of there or even spinning our coverage, you know, rolling down late or whatever. We pretty much show what we're in. Not a big disguise team. Again, as the offensive, you know, a couple offensive guys that came in here probably think they like just to know what we're in, and I don't blame them. They probably like to know what we're in too, but I want to make sure our guys play fast and do what they do. And we'll move a little bit, but we're not a big stem and stunting team. Pretty much, we kind of show you what we're in, and we just try to out-execute it. Again, back to what we do. And again, the better these guys are at showing things, we will move around a little bit and be able to move around and stem a little bit, but for the most part, we see what we're doing. Try not to disguise, try to stay in the same thing up front, though, guys. So in these ends, they should pretty much be in what I call a loose 5 technique. You know, on the outside shoulder of that tackle, again, sometimes we'll get in a tilt, but that's all game plan specific. But kind of want to not tip our hand off exactly where these guys are going all the time. But again, it all depends on what you can execute. Okay, I think the coach before me said, you know, I think he was a 4-eye team with the tackle. You know, if they can line up in a 5 and move to a 4, that's great. For us, I'd rather have a guy be able to line up and then move to a different gap, and as long as they can do both. okay? But if they can't, then I'm just going to put him in a gap that he's supposed to be in or squeeze and make sure we get that covered, okay? So in our pirate front, guys, you know, all we're doing here now, again, we're a man-to-man team, so you'll see that a lot. You'll actually see us play some cover 4 in some of these pirate clips too, where these guys are actually back and then playing cover 4 principles. Any of you guys play cover 4 here? Nobody does? You do? See a couple hands, a couple heads shaking. I'm sure our cover 4 is similar to what you guys, and I'll get to that when we get on the film. Let's discard those changes so my playbook looks pretty again. What am I doing? Okay, so let's get back. Let's watch some pirate clips here real quick. Again, I think I got them drawn up against most of the plays. Okay, so in this case, of course, we're in gold defense, so we actually are going to be in more of a it's a man-to-man matchup look that we're in. But as you can see now, guys, we've changed things a little bit. Going all the way back, so we're catching a little bit late. But now we got our guys out deeper here, and now our monster is in the middle again, and now we're squeezing our defensive end. So now we're making sure the ball goes to the outside. We do this a lot against zone teams. And this is more of an inside zone play. And watch our, here we go. They're going to fold this thing, and so that guard's pulling, right? So again, it's not a pull, it's not a power play, it's just a little fold play, blocking back here and going here. But again, defensive tackles. What we tell them to do on a pull, you guys may do something different, but the point is what is he going to do on a pull? He doesn't know if it's a power play. He didn't care. He didn't care if it's a power play or zone play. The guy in front of him is pulling. So when he pulls, he needs to get upfield and beat the pull. He's chasing. We tell him to talk to him to chase that pull, and so he wants to beat the center's back block. Well, he beats it pretty good here, doesn't he? Because now that center goes, he back block, he doesn't get him, he's able to reach in and make the tackle on the play and trip the guy up. So good job on that in terms of what we tell that defensive tackle to do on the pull. You should always have an idea what you're going to do, correct? If that guard pulls and that center blocks back, what are you going to do? What are you going to, basically you're going to stay in that gap and get upfield probably is one thing, or you could cross his face and backdoor it, right? That's something you could do too. Just got to make sure that when you do it, know how that fits in your run scheme. So we're going to chase that pull here, and then we're also going to squeeze down by 42 here. Watch him. He's a B-gap player now, right? He's not getting upfield. He's going to step and get across the face. So now what would happen again is if he wanted to cut that back, okay, he would be inserted himself into that gap now as he got upfield. And then also we have this outside linebacker, which would be reading that and coming back in here late. He's probably going to come in late, though, for the most part, because he's still out there wide, making sure they don't throw it to the slot out there. In this case, I think it was just a single guy out there, but if he was a 2-by-2 formation. Now, anybody tell me what is wrong here? Okay, the reason why I put this on is I want to see you guys tell me what's wrong here. So, in our Spartan front, guys, this guy was a C-gap player getting upfield. Okay, now when we do our pirate front, he's not supposed to do that. So his first step is good, right? So now this is good. Now he should probably do what?
He points it inside.
Yeah, he should be continuing on, right, and squeezing this gap down, and getting his head across the face of this guy, because this is his gap. He's A gap. We're in really good shape because look at 50. He's our scrape player outside here, isn't he? So he should be taking the C gap if the quarterback were to pull it in this case. Okay, so he should be the quarterback player, but right now he plays this wrong. So it's a good thing. Now he kind of gets across and then squeezes, but I want to see him do this and then go here, not the other way around. And then 50 would have the quarterback. Okay, another inside zone play. We're in cover 0 here. Now we're in cover 0, guys. It says gold up here, but it's mismarked. Again, we're in 0. Okay, these guys got these. These guys are covering here. And again, now this is actually out of our 3-man front, but it looks like a 4-man front. All we're doing is squeezing him down, and now just bringing him off the edge. This is not well blocked by the team we're playing. Okay, again, we get this a lot though, guys, because look at how wide we are. A lot of times we're just straight up field here, and they want to try to run it up in there. And some offensive teams against us would just stick with their double teams, get real sticky, right, and try to get movement on those double teams inside and say, let's blow it up in here. But again, in this case, 44 squeezing way down. Now, one thing, guys, I I talked about knowing, excuse me, I talked about reading what your guy's doing. Whether we're in a pirate front or a Spartan front, whether we're a B-gap player or a C-gap player, you still got to read the guy that's in front of you because that's your key. So the one thing we do though is if he hard inside releases, we're not going to try to cross his face. Because if both these guys are going really hard inside, there really isn't a B-gap. They're going hip to hip or however they want to call it. There's not much of a gap there. And so what we're going to do now is squeeze him really tight off that edge, and now he can chase the dive play on the inside on the zone read play. So now he becomes a B game. That's just a gap exchange, and now 40 would scrape and take the quarterback. Not sure why. Again, this was probably just obviously in the huddle from an offensive standpoint. They were just saying this is a give play, but they don't take either one of them. My guess too is this is probably blocked wrong. I can't imagine both those guys going the same way. Here's a split flow zone look. You don't get a lot of split flow, but with the H back in the game again. And so now they're just going to block the backside end here. And come back along on the zone play. Okay, we're not getting the best internet connection now. But the thing I want to show you here is our defensive tackle play, who's actually defensive end reduced down because we're in our three-man front. But again, we're trying to make sure we don't let anything go up inside of us, guys. Ball's got to go outside. Didn't give up many inside run plays other than that very first game I told you about, which we were just out to lunch. But this is a really good play by our tackle. Watch what happens. The guard releases outside, right? Not sure why, but he kind of steps and buckets and gets outside there. He's an A-gap player. So what does he do? He steps, gets to the A-gap, and then now he's working upfield, and nobody's got him blocked. And 44 does a decent job here, in this case, squeezing his gap out. This is one thing that we teach in terms of if you, for some reason, got yourself in bad position. Because it's going to happen where your guy doesn't do the right thing exactly the way he's supposed to in the first step. So now he doesn't get himself in a great position. Again, I want his head over here because he's a B-gap player. So he doesn't get himself in a great position, but I tell them, though, guys, if they get here, now you got to squeeze the air out of the gap by shoving his ass in it. Okay? So right now, you're not in great shape, but if you can basically bull rush 78 in this case into the gap, there's really not much room for him to go. Got that? So now, because it'd be pretty tough for him to try to rip across and get his head where he is, he should lock him out and push him back in the gap as much as possible, which isn't easy, but he should be able to do that. Or try to do that anyway. So the internet was working great until now. Okay, another pirate play here, guys. On an ISO look. So if you guys get a lot of ISO teams, obviously, figure out how to play the ISO. Whether you're going to contain the ISO with the lead blocker, whether you're going to spill it, whatever you're going to do. Again, when we're a pirate team, guys, pirate tells us we're spilling the ball with our ends, and we're catching it now with our backer, and we're inside out with the middle guy, whoever that is. In this case, we kind of got a guy in the middle here who's playing more of a true Mike backer. Whether we play him here or whether we play him there, we want this inside guy to be an inside-out tackler. Okay, and you guys can see that this guy, especially most in our defense, he really doesn't have a primary gap to fit. Okay, he's pretty much just inside out. Your job is to tackle the tailback. That's really all he's doing. He's keying the tailback. It's his job to cover him on a pass route, whatever. He's going hard inside out to the tailback. But right here, we want to go ahead and spill the ball. The ISO guy doesn't even get out there to him because our end spills it, and he gets it right to our guy that's ready to make the play. Okay? And we do a good job there. And then we get the combo here, and 50 kind of takes out the tackle, which was nice. Now this is kind of a lead play, not a traditional ISO play, but they're leading up through. Saw that one. Okay, here's a power play. So now here's a power play, guys. Again, when we showed the Spartan clips on the power play, we contained the power. What I mean by that is our end got upfield and he boxed it, meaning on the kickout block, he got upfield and stuffed it. And then our linebacker did the same thing with the guard pull. Now this is going to be opposite. Okay, we went into this team, and again, you guys watch film, right? And you can see what success some teams have had. For some reason, against this team, if you got the ball going laterally, which I think is a good idea against most teams, if you get the ball going laterally, they weren't as effective. When they got downhill hard at you right away, they were tough to handle. So our job in this game, we went into saying we wanted to spill the football. So we were going to go ahead and take on all our lead blocks with the wrong arm, basically, and try to get the ball going out. So you'll see that on the tight copy here. So if you see this on the tight copy, they're going to run it back, coming back this way, right? So here comes your guy. We just had a discussion the other night about calling this a sniffer. I don't know if that's what you guys call him, but that's what they call him because he's up in by the line. And I think they come from sniffing the guy's butt, right, or whatever they call it from. But that's what they call it. So he's in that position. And so you're going to get the power on the kickout block. So right now, he's a B-gap player. Okay, his tackle goes in hard inside release. He's spilling the next thing that's coming. So now here comes the kickout block. He gets underneath it. And now our 50, which is our backer here, he's scraping hard to the outside, and he's spilling the ball as well. And then what ends up happening? Our outside backer right here, 52, who's free, is able to make the play. So we're in pretty good shape, guys, with how we play to get pretty good numbers, whether we're in man or zone. Again, teams do not use that RPO system that everybody wants to talk about much against us because obviously we're a man-to-man team. And so the very little zone that we do play, they're really not seeing it much. So they probably didn't practice it much or scheme it up much. So we're in pretty good shape. Oh, one other thing here. Just to look at it from a secondary standpoint, I know I haven't talked much about the secondary, but when we're playing, in this case, we're in a gold coverage, which is zone, and now they come across, we're pretty much manned up on the outside playing cover 4, but his guy goes in motion, so he's trading him off. Now he's got to be able to fit and help out too in the run game, which he does, but it never gets out to him. I'll go back to some. Oh yeah, we'll see some pass plays here too. I haven't talked much about the pass, but okay. So here's 1st and 10, and we're playing pirate golds, meaning we're B gap players, A gap, B gap. We're scrape players here again. Now you look more like a typical, 4-1 box. Basically, most teams will call this. You got yourself a 4-1 box with guys on the outside. And here's the play action. And again, our eyes are usually back at the quarterback. When we're playing zone, we want to be able to read, the release of the receiver in this case, but as you can see, these 3 guys are pretty much checking on the release of the quarterback, seeing what the depth of the drop is, and then driving off of it. Up here, we pretty much keep him in man-to-man no matter what we're in. That's kind of what he can do. So we're kind of playing half man, half zone here. But number 22 is a good player, being able to read things. Now, real quick here. You guys can see it's 1st and 10, right? So it's 1st and 10. So I tell these guys, again, they're going to put us in a little bit of conflict. I get it, run-pass option. But again, we will stop the run. So if he gets a run read, he's sitting. Now he should hold a little bit because we're still spilling the ball out to him. He probably goes in a little too far. But again, if they complete this, he can see it and come off too. And so what? They catch a 3 or 4 yard pass on 1st down. Not a big deal. Try to do that 10 times. Again, that wasn't a very good football team anyway, so they probably weren't going to be able to do it twice, more or less 3 times. Okay, same look here on a 2x2. Again, we're playing a matchup zone. More cover 2 action here, right? We're going to press on the corner. You guys run a lot of cover 2. We're playing press cover 2 here. Not bad. I'd like to see his hat out here, though. He should be funneling this guy inside. And then we're covered up here. We got the 2 deep vertical. He's got that vertical. He's got that. And these guys are underneath coverage. We really play drop zone with our underneath guys, especially on 3rd down. All these guys are playing drop zone. But we're dropping here now and getting basically to the sticks. If it's 2nd and 10, 1st and 10, they're dropping 8 to 10 yards. If it's 3rd down and 12, they're dropping to 12. In 1st down, we kind of played about 8 to 10 yards on the drop. And we really play hard through the quarterback. And again, working on trying to get a 4-man pass rush. We do a decent job on the pass rush here. Again, we're trying to contain the quarterback, though. So we lose contain a little bit. But we're really dropping hard. And again, now our internet's not working as well. But right now, the reason why I got this on here, 42 should be working at an upfield angle here once he gets around here. so he can contain that quarterback. See if the other clip loads a little better. Back to the same one. So anyhow, the Y is working better. So right now, you see that, guys? We want to contain the quarterback, okay? So we want to keep him in the pocket. So right now, what he should be doing is working more upfield and not inside. He should be working upfield and then close that gap, and he gets him down and contain it. But he's bubbled out pretty far, not much for him to do. But we didn't do a great job of containing the quarterback on that one. We'll show you an interception. We did a pretty good job this year in interceptions. I think we had 15, I believe, for 10 games, which isn't bad. This is a really good play by our corner. He kind of guessed what the route was. He said he saw something on film and saw what the route was going to be. I think whether it would be a signal from the sideline, but in terms of technique-wise, you can see it too. Again, we're in a cover 2 concept here. We're dropping, and it's weird up here. Again, we'll sink on cover 2 guys. Okay, we're not going to usually run hard at him unless we have the call for it. We'll go ahead and sink on him. Again, if we needed to run and anchor him, we would do that. But in this case, we're reading the second receiver as he releases, and our corner sinks and makes a really good play on it and undercuts the route. He should be sinking back too, and then we would come and rally to this late on the screen play. But again, our corner kind of told our safety that what the play was coming. This is an interception, but I got the wrong play on this one. Let me go back real quick. I want to show you guys something before, while this thing's not running real great right now.
Well, 5 minutes?
Okay. What I got, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing I'll show you guys real quick, and then if there's any other questions, is the one playbook thing. If it loads up, if it doesn't, that's okay. Okay, so again, I want to tell you guys a little bit about our drop zone. Something I think that, I think works at every level. Maybe not if you're playing Tom Brady or, I think Bill, or, playing some of the really, really good quarterbacks that can kind of pick you apart in the zone. But when you get them in advantageous situations on 3rd and long, as you can see drawing it back, it's kind of a spot drop zone versus rather than running a lot of matchup stuff, again, depending on your personnel. So we really teach them really, really hard on getting to the sticks and then reading the quarterback. And then playing with a 2 high safety up top. We can also run Tampa 2 out of this, where you drop that Mike backer even further into it, and it turns more of a cover 3 defense. But again, work really hard getting back to the sticks and dropping from that standpoint rather than matching up. We saw a little bit of that, but again, I'm not gonna, because of the internet's not working as great. We didn't get the spot drop stuff as much as I would have liked. This is something we do on 3rd down, going back to the initial slide that I told you when we started everything. And play a little bit more of that. So I don't know if you guys have had the debate. Have you had the debate about spot drop zone versus matchup zone? You guys ever have the debate? It's kind of fun sometimes. But again, 2 years ago, when we were able to get the kind of 4-man pass rush that we could really get, again, we were a top 15 team in the country in 3rd down defense, and this is what we ran almost every single 3rd down. So it's really different. It's kind of an old school technique. I got it from Coach Ross here. He's a little older than I am. So that we run. So
Scorpions run this defense 80% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the one you guys are there. So it's really cool that if you got 2 really, really good corners, again, we don't all have all 11 great players. We agree on that. not every position you got is a great player, but just figure out where your best players are and figure out what they do best, and that's what we do. Again, I showed you a couple clips of number 1 we had a couple years ago. He was our best tackler, our best player, and even though he was 5'8", 160 pounds, that's what he was. And he would lead our team in tackles, basically played middle linebacker from a safety depth position. And again, just because he doesn't fit the prototypical mode, who says you can't play him there? So get creative with what your personnel is, and you'll figure it out that it turns out a lot better than just running some kind of scheme that's on paper. Any other questions? Real quick. I'll be back in some breakout sessions tomorrow too. We may have a little bit more time. But, all right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. Hope you guys saw something you can take with you.